Hello, this is the computer programming course, and we are going to continue about array. In the previous lecture, we already did the multi-dimensional array. This is the chapter about the multi-dimensional arrays, but we are still doing the array section, and especially we are still discussing how the array works in the method. So in the previous lecture, we learned about the count letters in array and random character. Maybe I can review a little bit. So we have the count letter in array. So we have the outline here. So the outline represent the methods that available in the code. And you are using one more class is called random character. So if you still remember, this is a class to create a random character, and we use the get random here, the met random, and we are accessing any character. Let's say if I set up the character 1 as A and then character 2 as Z. So I would like to create any characters from A and until Z. So Z minus A plus 1. It means, yeah, you can see here, if it is Z and if it is A, okay, then uh, you can have this one. For example, this is the 79, okay. So we already learned from the previous PowerPoint before we uh, did the mid exam. The character A is representing one integer value, which is 97, and then let's suppose that Z is 97 plus 26. Okay, so it's like 123. Okay, uh, when we have the range between Z and A, it means we have the Z equals to 123 and then A equals to 97. Then you want to find any values, let's say 97 plus, yeah. If the randomize, this randomize is any value, okay, it is 0 until 1, and then we want to multiply with, let's say suddenly the random value is 0.5, okay, and then yeah, we want to multiply with this one, okay, so 0.5 multiply 26 plus 1, or maybe this one minus this one plus 1 is 36, okay, and you will see that this one, if you multiply this one, if it is 0.5, then half from 26 means like 97 plus 13. So yeah, this is the random value. So we have this value random 0.5 or maybe 0.1 or maybe 0.2 or maybe 0.3. So any value which is random. So this randomize will generate any characters. So if it is 0, then we will make A. If it is 0.5, then we will add 97 plus 13, and that will be the character. Okay, so by using this kind of idea, we can generate any character. And yeah, the remaining part is how to get the random character, and we input into the random character section, and then yeah, there's one question from one student about the previous lectures on the array section. What does it mean by this part? Okay, what does it mean by this? Meaning, it's pretty difficult to understand this one. Okay, so this one is a result of a variable, and if you still remember, we can convert the character into integer value. So this is a character I. So character I means I want to know what is the character. For example, if the character I is B, okay, and then B minus A, what happened? If we still remember, B can be converted into an integer number. So the integer number will be 98. And then A, what is A? A is 97. So we have 98 minus 97 and the result is 1. Then if the character I is B, I can say the counts in the index 1. So what is index 1? Here I know that it is for character P. So the character P should be added by 1. So if I found that that character is B plus 1 for the index 1. So we have the count, okay, the count is from 0. 0 means the character A. And then 1 means the character B, 2 is the character C, 3 is character D, 4 is character E, 5 is character F, and so on. Okay, so we have until 26, the character 26, oh sorry, maybe not 26, 25, okay, because it starts from 0. So if the index is 25, then it is the character of Z. And whenever we found the character, we will do the plus plus, so we will add by 1. Okay, that's the meaning. Okay, hope you understand with that idea. So the remaining parts, I think, is not that difficult to understand. It is just to show your result after 20, maybe after 20 parts. Okay, so let's run this. Yeah, this one, like this one. You have 20 column. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so there are 20 items in a row. If it has 20 already, then print line, go to the next line. Okay, but if it is still in the same line, then just print. Okay, that's the meaning of this one. Okay, the same with this one. Yeah, if you have already 10 items in one row, then go to the next line. Okay, so this is print line. If it is not 10, then you can just print. Okay, so that's the meaning of this modulo function. Okay, and yeah, if you get back to this PowerPoint, you will see that this is the way for the count letters in array and the random character. Okay, there is one kind of common problem, which is searching. Okay. Searching is the process of looking for a specific element in an array. So if you have array and then you want to find where is number 5, what is the index of number 9, for example. So it is to discover whether a certain score is included in list of score. Maybe yeah, we have like 30 students in our class, 26. Okay, so we have 26 students, and then I want to know who got the 100. Then yeah, it's also searching. Okay, so searching is a common task in the computer programming, and there are many algorithms and data structure devoted to searching, because searching will, if you are not correctly defining the searching algorithm, it will consume a lot of time. While it is one of the important function. So the commonly used approach is linear search and binary search, but I do not want to discuss the binary search in this computer programming. So let's see about the linear search. So in the linear search means we want to find the element, or we want to find the data, and the data should be find with very efficient way, and this way is using the linear. We call this is linear because we want to see one by one from the index 0, and then we go to the index 1, we go to index 2, and so on until the index n. So this is what we call as linear. So we want to search one by one. Okay. And this is the method. Oh, so this is the class. Yeah, actually you can make class linear search, and then you have the method linear search. And there are two parameters. The first is an array, and the other is only a primitive data type, which is integer. So in this case, this is the data. Okay, and then this is the target, or the specific number that you want to search. Okay. And for this you can do the loop. Okay, for loop, the for loop is from 0 until the length. What is the length? The length of the data. So if you have 10 data, then it will go from 0 until 10. If the key is in the list, so it means if the target or the key, this one, if the number is in the array, then you can just return the index I. But if you go until the last one and there is no such element, then return -1. So this is the common function for searching the element in an array. Linear search is an approach to compare the key element, which is the key, sequentially with each element in the array list. So this method continues to do so until the key matches an element in the list, or the list is exhausted without a match being found. So if a match is made, then the linear search returns the index. Okay, so here's the key. The index. We will return the index of the element in the array that matches the key. If no match is found, then it will return -1. So maybe you will ask why we use the -1. While we are using the array will start from 0. Okay. So the array is start from 0 and then go to 1 and then go to 2 and then so on until n. For example, if the n is 10, we will go until 9. If we return -1, it means we cannot find in the positive, or we cannot find in the non-negative values. So we will return -1 and we say that no element in the array. Okay, that's the reason we use the -1 to indicate there is no match. Okay? If it is no match, then we will return -1. So for example, this is the animation. If I want to find 3, okay, then I will start from the beginning. 6 is equal to 3? No. Okay, I will go to the next. 4 equals to 3? No. And then I will go to the next. 1 equals to 3? No. 9 equals to 3? No. 7 equals to 3? No. 3 equals to 3? Yes. Then I found the element 3, and then it will return the index is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the index will be 5. Okay. So this one is applicable. Okay, if you want to use this method, this is the method of linear search, and then you have one parameter. This is the data in the array form, and then we have one key, so we can use this one. And then you can just use the data anything with the one shorthand notation like this one. 1 4 4 2 5 minus 3 6 and 2. And if I use linear search, for example, this one is the list, is the data from here, because it is we have one parameter which is the array, and then we have for. Okay? For means the key that we want to check. So you can see, if you go to the index 0, is it for? No. And then next for, yes. Okay, then we will return 1. Even though we have another for, but in the linear search, we only care for the first element to be found. If we've already found this one, if we already find this one, then it will stop. So it will return only one index. If you want to return more than one index, yeah, you need to create another method. Let's suppose we have this linear search list -4. So it will return -1 because there is no -4 in the data. If we want to use the linear search list -3, okay, we found that it is in the index 5. Okay, that's about the array, and actually there are still more things to deal with array. I think I can stop about the array section, and let's continue to the multi-dimensional arrays. What is the meaning by multi-dimensional arrays? We call it a multi-dimensional array because it is more than one. Okay. In our case, let's just focus on two-dimensional array. If you want to learn about three-dimensional array, yeah, that's also possible. If you want to learn about four-dimensional array, that's also possible. If you want to learn about five-dimensional array, yeah, that's also possible. Okay, but let's focus on the two-dimensional array. In this case, the array will be with two square bracket. Okay, so we have two square bracket like this one. And this is the data type, and this is the reference variable. So for example, I want to create the integer, and then with the two-dimensional array, let's say I want to make matrix. Yeah, you can define this one. So this also possible with the reference variable. And what is the data type? For example, if I want to have new integer, okay, integer, and then I have 10 for the first dimension, and then I have 10 for another dimension. Yeah, if you want to combine with this one, that's also possible. So you have the integer with two dimension, and then let's say matrix, and then after you have this one, you want to define new integer 10 and multiply by 10, for example. Okay, so you can also give the statement in one line, or if you want to use this type, that's also possible. So if we have the integer matrix, yeah, but last time I mentioned to you, it is not recommended. Okay, yeah, you can use this one. Actually, Java provide this way to show the multi-dimensional array. Okay, so those are the methods, or those are the way to define the multi-dimensional array. Yeah, this is the example. Yeah, you can use the integer with the two square matrix, two square bracket matrix, new integer 10 and 10. Okay, and then you can use this way. Okay. And for every of the element, yeah, you can access the position. For example, this is the position index 0, this is the index 0, and then I want to put the value 3. Okay. So in this case, I can just make like a kind of table. Okay. So this kind of table, this is the index 0, and then this is index 0. This is 1, 1, 2, 3, for example, 2, 3, okay. And then the index 0 and 0, the value is 3. And then you can also define if you want to make the random value for every of I and j. So it means I can be done with maybe this is j. J is representing the, the column, and then I representing the row. Okay. So this is the row, maybe this is the column. So every numbers here, I and j, will be a math random multiplied by 1000. That's also possible to create this one. Or you want to use double, that's also fine. Okay, this is more representative. If you are making a kind of matrix and you define the size 5 by 5, so we have 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5. So we have 5 rows and we have 5 columns. And what about the second one here? So we define the matrix 2 1. So we want to access the index 2, which is the row, and then the index 1, which is the column. Okay? So this is if you set clearly like this one, yeah, it is possible to make this kind of two-dimensional array in a term of matrix. And then you want to put value 7, then the value in this space is 7. And if you want to specify with the first definition with the curly bracket, this one is the curly bracket. Okay, so it means you want to initialize the data at the first time. So the index 0 and 0, the value is 1. So here is 1. So it means you will have the first curly bracket and you have the second curly bracket to indicate the first row, and then the second row, and then the third row, and then the fourth row. Okay, so the first row is 1 2 3, the second row is 4 5 6, the third row is 7 8 9, and then the fourth row is 10 11 12. You know that there is function, there is a method length. Length is to indicate the size. Okay, how can we know the size? For the first one, for the first matrix, the size is 5 multiplied by 5. For the length, actually, we want to just set the length for one value. So we have two values here. Then how can we get this one? If we have matrix.length, so it will just give you the number of rows. Okay. If we have matrix 0, so means I want to access the row in index 0, and I want to know the length. So the length, there are 5 columns. Okay, so that's the meaning. So this different, because the first means I want to know the row, how many rows, and then the second is how many columns. So it is depending on how you define the size. Now let's see about this matrix. If I have the array.length, what happened? Okay, we have 1 2 3 4, so we have 4 rows. And if we have the length for this particular row, so for the row 0, how many columns? So we have 3. Okay, 1 2 3. Okay, in the way to declare the matrix or the two-dimensional array with shorthand notation, okay, so you can use this one we already saw from the previous example. And by defining this way, it is the same with this way. So we want to have the array, and we specify there are two dimensions. Okay, and then the first, this is the row, and then this is the row, this is the row, and this is the row. Yeah, it is very short. But if you want, if you think that okay, it's confusing, okay, it's very complex to define like this one, and you want to use the traditional way, that's also fine. Then you need to specify one by one. For example, this one, I would like to make an array, and it is two-dimensional, and then the first is to define the size. So we have 4 rows, and then we have 3 columns. And then for every data, we need to specify it. So in the array index 0 and 0, we put value 1. For the array index 0 and 1, we put value 2. For array index 0, 2, we put value 3, and so on. Okay, so the result will be similar to this one. Okay. Now, after you can define with this one, of course, you can check the length. Okay. As I mentioned to you, the length, now we assume that every length is the same for every row. So the x0 length is 4, x1 length is 4, and x2 length is 4. And then x length is 3. Okay, because we have 3 rows, and then for every rows we have like 4 length. Okay, so this is by the definition for this one. We have 3 rows and we have 4 columns. Okay, so yeah, it depends on your definition. For example, here we have 4 rows and 3 columns, so it's different. Okay, you can make your own definition about the length for every rows. For example, in the array.length, for this one, for this example, what is the result? In array.length, we have 4. Okay, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4. What is array 0.length? Yep, we have 3. What is array 1.length? Okay, we have 3. What is array 2.length? Okay, we have 3. What is array 3.length? Okay, we have 3. What about array 4.length? It will be error. Okay, so this is error because we only have 0, 1, 2, 3. There can be another example about rack arrays. What is a rack arrays? So each row in a two-dimensional array is itself an array. So this is an array. So this is an array. This is another array. This is another array, and this is another array. So the rows can have different lengths. Okay. So in the previous example, we always see that all the rows have the same length, but it is possible to have different lengths. And this kind of array, we call it rack arrays. So this is an example. I have a matrix, and then I just want to consider this what we call as the triangle matrix usually. In this case, the matrix length is 5 because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we have 5 rows. And then what is the matrix 0 length? Okay, in the matrix 0 or the matrix in the row 0, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5. What is the row 1? Okay, we have 4. Okay, because 1, 2, 3, 4. In the index 2, okay, we have 3. In the index 3, we have 2. In the index 4, we have 1. Okay, so they are different. But the difference is not always decreasing like this one. It can be something like, yeah, maybe in the matrix 3, maybe the size is 5. That's also possible. In the matrix 4, maybe the size is 9. Yeah, that is also possible. Okay, So we call this is rack arrays because the rows can have different lengths. So when you define with these rack arrays, it means when we have one place or which is one index, this is index 0, then there will be an array inside. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we have this index 1, we have another array inside. If it is index 2, okay, then we have an array inside, and so on. Okay. So when we have this complex two-dimensional arrays, we need to set some procedure. Okay, if you take a look on your Eclipse before, when we create the characters, okay, when we have the random characters, at least we have 4 methods. So the first is creating the random characters, and then next is displaying the characters, and then next we calculating how many frequencies of the characters, and then finally we want to show the result. Okay. So the same with these two-dimensional arrays. The first is how to initialize arrays with the input values. So you can do with random, okay, or you can use the user input. Okay, so user can input any values, but of course if you want to input many values, it will be time consuming. After you have the input, you can print the arrays. Maybe you want to do something, for example, summing the elements. So you want to sum all the elements, or you want to sum only the columns, or you want to sum only the rows. That's also possible. So in this section, I just want to show you about summing all elements by column. Okay. So here is the first. We can initialize the arrays with input values. How? Yeah, you can see this is the code to use the scanner, and then you need to define what is your matrix length, and yeah, this is about the rows, and then what is the column. So let's assume that you have the same size for every row. So you want to make a matrix, so you need to have the same size for every row. So you will do the loop from row 0 until the length of the row, and then you need to access the column from column 0 until the length of that particular row. Okay, so you need to access the length for that particular row, and then for every cell you want to get the user input. So you want to input dot next int. It means I want to put the integer value in that particular cell. So the row and the column is a value that will be stored in this space. Okay. And after the user input, you can think maybe it's not a good idea to do the user input, because if it is a very big array, yeah, it is time consuming. So it's for the testing for your matrix, maybe you can create a random function. So in this case, the same, we have the row, it will be iterated from 0 until the length, and then you have the column, it will be iterated from 0 until the length, and then for every cell, which is the row and the column, it will be stored with a random value. So the random value here is any value between 0 until 100, and it will be casted into the integer value. After you have the array, you might wondering what are those arrays. So you need to print. Okay. So the first is to again loop from every row and then loop from every column. So they actually the structure is the same. Okay. So you can see the pattern. In this case, the row and column is always being a loop like this one. And then you want to print for every row first. So the row will be printed, after one line, you can go to the next line. So after we print all the column in the first row, and then we can go to the next column, we can print all the rows in the next, we can print all the columns in the next row, and then we can print also the all columns in the next row, and so on until we have finished all the rows. And if you want to do summation, okay, what is summation? So the summation means I want to add all the matrix element. So you can just put one more variables, which is total equals to 0, and then you have this loop. Okay, it start from 0 to the length, and then column is also from 0 to the length. And then for every elements, we want to store it into the variable total by giving the plus equal. And there is a kind of method to build the summing element by column. So let's see if I have a matrix like this. Okay, maybe this one. Yeah, let's say this one is 0, 1, 2, 3, and then this one 1, 2. And then I want to sum by the column. Okay, so let's see if I have this is the value of 2, and then this value of 4, this is the value of 1, and this value of 3. So what is the summation of the column? 2 plus 4 plus 1 plus 3. So 6 plus 4, then the result will be 10. Okay, now with this way, what we can do to write the Java code? Okay. So in this case, we need to twist a little bit. Okay, we are using the column first. Why? Yeah, because we want to access the column, and then we want to look from this, and this, and then we can go to the next column, and then again we will do this, and this, and then we will go to the next column, and we will do this and this and this and this. So using the opposite idea of the column and row, yeah, you can get how to show the result summing the elements by the column. And for every time you finish one column, okay, every time you finish one column, then you will print the sum of the column. For example, this is the column 0. So the column 0, you will see this one. And then the column 1, you will see this one. And the column 2, you will see this one. Okay. Okay, now let's see how can we do this in Eclipse. There's one example about pass two-dimensional array. Okay, now the examples is getting more complex, and I include also some methods in these examples, because if I'm not using any methods, it will be more complex. So if I use the methods, you can see some sections of this one. Let's see, this is the pass two-dimensional array class, and then I have the main class, and yeah, you will use one function get array, and the function get array will return a two-dimensional array. Okay, why I know this is the two-dimensional array? Because there are two square brackets. Okay, now if I go to this get array, okay, this is the function, this is the method get array. I will use the scanner, yeah, and I will create a new array with 3 rows and 4 columns. And then I would like to ask the user to input the numbers. So here I want to show the matrix, which is the number of rows and the number of columns. And then we want to loop. Yeah, you can use rows, you can use column for this one, but I just give the short way, which is I and J. And after I finish with this input, I will return the M. So M is the matrix, okay, or M is the two-dimensional array. And then I would like to show the summation of the elements. So I want to sum all the elements. So this is a method sum. And okay, this will return an integer. You can see here, it returns an integer value. And also you can see from this outline, the get array is a two-dimensional array, and then the sum function or the sum method is an integer. So it will return integer value. So I will put the total variable here equals to 0, and I will do the summation for row and column, okay, here, and then the total will be the total for all the row and column. And finally we will return back this total to this statement. Okay, let's see what is the result if I execute this. So enter 3 and 4 columns. Maybe I can just put the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Okay, the summation of all elements is 78. Okay, yeah, of course you can check the result. If your value is different, the result will be depending on that values. Now we are going to check this bit complex example about grading. Okay, so before that one, maybe you can have an idea. Let's say if I want to show the array, so I'm not going to, yeah, I will display the sum, but I want to also show the array. Okay, I want to print the arrays. Okay, how can you make this one? So the idea is the same with the PowerPoint file that I shared to you. So if you refer to the PowerPoint file, you will see the section about printing arrays. Okay, so like this one. So you can try. Okay, uh, you can try with this code, and then you can go back to your Eclipse, and let's suppose I make a new function, because I don't need to return any values. So I need to just print. So I can just use void print. Don't use print because it's the same with the print in Java, just show. Okay, and then I will have one parameter, which is the data that I want to share here. Okay, and then I just use this one. Oh, maybe for the easy one is just use matrix. So the code will be the same with the PowerPoint, and yeah, the matrix, that's fine. And then you will try to print it one. So how to print the array is just call the function. The function that we declare here is show. Okay, so you want to show M, then you can just get the result. Maybe before this one I want to just print this one. Okay, is to separate the input and the print areas. So let's see, I want to have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and then 10 11 12. Okay, now you can see it is 3 rows and 4 columns, and we have the 1 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, and then we have 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 in the next row, and then 9 10, 11 in next row. And then at the end, we have the sum of all element is 78. Okay. So we have another problem here. We want to show the grade of multiple choice tests. What does it mean? Here, you will see the student 0, and this is the answer. So this is problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, problem 4, problem 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you know that array starts from index 0. We have 10 problems, and let's just think that this is a multiple choice. So the option will be A or B or C or D. Okay. Of course, the instructor or the professor, like me, I have the key or I have the answers. Okay. And I would like to check whether the answer from the student is the same with the key answers from the professor. If they are the same, then you will get 1 point. If it is not the same, then you will get 0 point. So for example, the problem in index 0 is A for the answer for student 0. However, the key is D. So A equals to D? No. Then 0 for the first question. And the next question is B, and this one, oh, this one B. Then B equals to B? Yes. Then we give 1 to the problem index 1 for the student 0, and so on. So we can calculate this one. Let's say this is not correct and this is correct. So 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then not correct. Okay. And then 5, 6, 7. Okay, then the student 0 get 7 point. Now, how can you make the Java program for this one? So you need to understand about the multi-dimensional array. Let's go to the Eclipse, and there is one example, create exam. So in the create exam, we already see there's one set of answers. So it is in the form of character, and it is two-dimensional array. And it is in the form of one variable answers, and is the answer A, B, A, C, C, D, E, E, A, D. Okay. We can say that this is the student index 0, this is student index 1, this is student index 2, index 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, oops, sorry. Okay, so we have 7 students. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, 8 students. But the index is from 0 until 7. And this is the key. So the key means the answer. Okay, so if the first question answer is D, then it's correct. If not D, then not correct. So you want to create all the answers. Maybe you think, oh, it's too complicated, oh, it's too difficult, but actually the answer is very simple. You just need to look from 0 until the answer length. The answer length means, you want to know how many students. Okay, and for every student you need to create. How you can create? Maybe the simple answer is just give one variable correct count. Okay, the correct count, it is for every student. So you need to look again for every questions that the student answer. So we have from 0 until the length of the particular student or the index I. And then if the answers in the I comma j equals to the key j, Okay, so that's what I mentioned to you. If this one is the same with this key, because this is the index 0, comma 0, and this is the index 0. And yeah, if it is match, count plus plus. So the correct count will be added by 1. If it is not the same, then just skip and go to the next one. And finally, you will see the students I correct count is here. How many? So it means every student will get the numbers of the correct count. If you run, you will see that the student 0 correct count is 7, student 1 correct count is 6, and so on. Okay. Okay. Is there any question or comment about this one? Yeah, should you have any comments or question, just send me email and I will try to answer your question as soon as possible. So I will stop in this section. I will continue the other section with other video.